Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Last class we were discussing the innovations of the ancient period. We had discussed the two major innovations that happened in the ancient period. Of these two innovations, the first one was the discovery of fire. So, fire was a discovery, and the second innovation was the invention of the wheel. So, fire was a discovery, and the wheel was an invention. Both are called together as innovations. And the third major innovation is again an invention like the wheel. It is paper. Paper is comparatively more recent than wheel, and it was just around 2000 years ago that we have the invention of paper. It was in 105 AD. So let us now understand what this discovery of paper has to do with the evolution of human beings. Adira KB, or number 18, please read that.
Yes, sir. There is
What happened? Where is Adira? '28 Krishna PP. Roll number 28 Krishna PP.
hello, sir.
Please read that.
Yes, sir. There is a Chinese story about a scholar named Hu Shi who needed 5 carts to carry his books when he traveled around teaching. Books at that time were made of woods or bamboo, and therefore they were heavy and occupied a lot of space. Reading at the time need not only brain work but also physical strength. Thus, the invention of paper was revolutionary.
Okay, thank you. So here, this is the story of a Chinese teacher who had to carry his books in a cart, Unduandi. And that is how he used to go to the classes. What does it indicate? It indicates that at those times, the books, uh, they were so heavy because every sheet was supposed to be a piece of wood. So that is how they, with a lot of difficulty, did their teaching in the classes. So that is why the author says that the invention of paper was revolutionary. What do you mean by revolutionary? Revolutionary means something that completely changes the situation. That is what is called a revolution. The next paragraph discusses how paper was invented, from where it was invented, and what was the process of making the paper, and uh, the transformation that has happened in the manufacturing of paper are there in the subsequent two paragraphs. So the next paragraph. Nandana TU, roll number 40. Nandana TU, roll number 40.
Hello, sir.
Carry it.
Hello, sir. കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
Yes.
The word paper comes from the ancient Egyptian writing materials called papyrus, which was woven from previous
Papyrus.
plants. Papyrus was produced as early as 3000 BCE in Egypt and in ancient. Hello?
Yes, read.
And Rome. The Chinese code uh, official TS
Siloon. Siloon. She is also gone. Okay, the invention of paper is from the tree called papyrus. That is how this term paper came into being. The name of the tree was papyrus. And what they did was they took the bark of the tree, that is the skin of the tree, and from it they made the writing material, which later came to be known as paper. That's how the term paper came into being, from the papyrus tree from which it was first produced. And that was very early, almost 3000 BC. And it was the person called Sai Lun who was working in the Chinese royal court. He discovered the modern method of paper making, and he used cotton rags. Rags means old clothes. So he used old clothes to make paper. So that is how this first manufacturing of paper happened, and that is how he got credited with the invention of paper. His picture is seen on the screen. That is Silo. And what were the transformations that happened in the manufacturing of paper? How printing technology influenced the learning process, etc., are described in the next paragraph.
Sir,
Yes, you read that paragraph.
നേരത്തെ ലെഫ്റ്റ് ആയി പോയിണ്ടായി.
I know. You can read the next paragraph. Paper remained a luxury item.
Paper remained a luxury item through the centuries until the advent of steam driven paper making machines in the 19th century. This machine could make paper with fibers from wood pulp. Today, eco-friendly paper is made out of the recycled materials, including Bagas. Easy availability of paper, along with advancement in printing technology, has helped to bring knowledge to the common man.
Okay, thank you. So paper was a luxury item through the centuries. Means it was something which is not freely available becomes a luxury item. You must have heard about it in marketing. If you learn marketing, business management, etc., it says that when uh, the supply is less, then the cost of the equipment or thing that goes up. So when paper was so less produced, so there is a more demand for that material, and therefore the price of the material goes up, and then it becomes a luxury item. But when you have some mass manufacturing of such things, then the item slowly becomes affordable to everybody. That is, everybody can buy it. The cost of the item comes down, and people will be able to buy it. And with relation to paper, why is it so important for us as students? Paper is something that we consider as very sacred for all students, because it is through paper that the transference of knowledge happens, and therefore it is something which is very precious to all of us. And today we have paper making machines, industries which make paper with the help of machines. In the earlier days, it was all done with the help of hand. Everything was handmade, paper was handmade. But now we have machines which manufacture paper, and you have huge reams of paper being manufactured every day. Boxes, cartons of paper being manufactured every day. And the problem with the paper manufacturing from wood pulp, what is the problem with manufacturing paper from wood pulp? ഇതിലൊരു പ്രശ്നമുണ്ട്. എന്താണ്? It is not good for the earth. Why is it not good for the earth? manufacturing paper from wood pulp. അത് നല്ലതല്ല. എന്താണ് കാരണം? ഹലോ എവരി വൺ, ഉറക്കമാണോ എല്ലാവരും? സ്ലീപ്പിംഗ്?
No,
ഹാ, ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു സുരേഷ്. എന്തു പറ്റി എല്ലാവരും ഭയങ്കര സൈലന്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഇരിക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ? ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു ഫോർ ദോസ് റെസ്പോൺസസ്. യെസ്, വെരി ഗുഡ്. ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ, യെസ് ജിസ്ന, താങ്ക് യു ഫോർ ദാറ്റ് റെസ്പോൺസ്. യെസ്, okay. Then what is wrong with using wood pulp? If you use a lot of wood, what happens? There is some problem which happens if you use a lot of wood. Is it good for the earth? No, it is not good for the earth. Then what happens? It is deforestation. Exactly, yes, Yuma. So it leads to destruction of trees. It affects our environment. Actually, ഇപ്പോഴുള്ള ഈ കൊറോണ പാൻഡമിക്, they are all actually a byproduct of our infringement on the environment. നേരിട്ട് നമുക്കത് അങ്ങനെ കാണുന്നില്ലെങ്കിലും really the reason is that we have infringed too much upon the environment, and that is the why we are still suffering from this pandemic. So it is a respiratory disease. So this virus has always been the reason, actually not a new virus. The recent research says that it has come from animal life and it has got transported into human beings. So why did it come today? Because we have to infringed upon the environment so much that it is actually a repercussion or a result of what we have done to the environment. So cutting down trees means we are cutting down the supply of oxygen. So if you don't have pure oxygen to breathe, you are likely to get more diseases. Diseases are less in a highly oxygenated environment. If you are living in a forest, you are less likely to have diseases. But when you move on to the cities where it is highly polluted, you get more diseases, especially respiratory diseases. So the point is, cutting down of trees is not good for the environment. It is an ecological disaster, and therefore paper manufacturing has got a negative side if you are using the wood pulp from trees. So what is the solution? The solution is that we have a lot of waste material in the form of Bagas. And what is Bagas? Bagas is nothing but sugarcane waste. Bagas is sugarcane waste. You know, a lot of sugar is manufactured from the sugar canes. And the pulp, after the extraction of the pulp, the extraction of the juice, the pulp is thrown out. And this pulp is actually good material for making paper. And therefore, it does not affect the environment also, because it is in any case a waste material. എന്തായാലും വേസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സാധനമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിനെ നമ്മൾ ഉപയോഗിക്കുമ്പോൾ പരിസ്ഥിതിയെ സംരക്ഷിക്കാനായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് സാധിക്കും. We are able to protect the environment if we use such waste materials like the pulp from sugarcane, which is known as Bagas. So we are making a lot of paper is today manufactured from Bagas. If you look at the packets which come, you can find that there are mention of this material, that this paper is made from recycled material, or this paper is made from Bagas, etc. So such paper does not negatively affect our environment because it is recycled paper. And how was the easy availability of paper important for human life and for transference of knowledge. Because along with the invention of paper, the progress in printing technology, it made books available to everybody at a very low cost. So everybody, knowledge became free, knowledge became universal. Everybody was able to access knowledge because books was everywhere and books were everywhere. We had libraries. We don't even had to purchase books. You can borrow a book from a library at almost very less cost, a nominal cost. You can borrow a book, read it, and give it back. And thus, knowledge became very accessible to the common man. Everybody was able to access knowledge. Today, I don't think there is anybody in the world who is denied knowledge because they do not have money. So that is the kind of progress that this invention of paper as well as that of printing technology have affected or positively benefited human beings. So of these three ancient inventions, paper is something that is very close to the hearts of all students like us. For us, it is a very important invention because without paper, uh, our life would be very difficult. If you write your notes, you need a paper. If you need to submit an assignment, you need paper. Why? If you want to write the diploma exam, still you need paper. So paper is something that is very important for every student. So here we have the three ancient inventions completed. First one was the invention, not the invention, it was the discovery of fire. Second one was the invention of the wheel. And the third one is now the invention of paper. So these are the three major innovations. Okay, so we discussed in the last class also that innovations are both discoveries and inventions. രണ്ടിനെയും നമുക്ക് കൂടി innovations എന്ന് പറയാം. So they are discoveries plus inventions together are called innovations. Okay, so now we move on to the modern day innovations, and the first of which is the electric bulb. It is from the electric bulb that we discuss the modern innovations. Why is the electric bulb important? Because it transformed human life. That we have two halves of our lives. ഏതൊക്കെയാണ് ടു ഹാഫ്സ്? നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ രണ്ട് പകുതികൾ ഏതൊക്കെയാണ്? Which are the two halves of human life? Okay, food and sleep. Okay, when do you sleep?
അത് സമയം കിട്ടുമ്പോഴൊക്കെ.
Okay, but generally?
Night.
Okay, so, okay, thank you for that response. So we have food during the day and we sleep at night. So that is, we don't eat, രാത്രി ഉറക്കത്തിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ എഴുന്നേറ്റ് നമ്മൾ ഭക്ഷണം കഴിക്കുന്നില്ല. So these are the two halves, day and night. Day and night, these are the two halves of human existence. 1 second, please. Please stay online. I will be right back. Okay, welcome back. Sorry for the interruption. So we were discussing the two halves of human life. The two halves of human life എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് light and darkness ആണ്. Day and night. Yes, and Maria. So day and night. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ രണ്ട് ഹാഫ് ഉണ്ടാവാൻ കാരണം എന്താണ്? Because during daytime you have light from the sun and that light is withdrawn. The light disappears at night. So that is how we have these two halves of human existence. കവി പാടിയതുപോലെ ഒരു പകുതി പ്രജ്ഞയിൽ നിഴലും നിലാവും എന്താണ് മറ്റേത് കവിത പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടോ? ഒരു പകുതി പ്രജ്ഞയിൽ നിഴലും നിലാവും മറുപകുതി പ്രജ്ഞയിൽ കരിപൂശിയ രാവും എന്ന് കേട്ടിട്ടില്ലേ? മലയാളം കവിതയൊന്നും പഠിച്ചിട്ടില്ലേ? മലയാളം പഠിച്ചിട്ടില്ലേ സ്കൂളിൽ? യെസ്, അതാണ് രണ്ട് പകുതികൾ. ഒരു പകുതി പ്രജ്ഞയിൽ നിഴലും നിലാവും, മറുപകുതി പ്രജ്ഞയിൽ കരിപൂശിയരാവും എന്നൊക്കെയുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ അതിൽ രണ്ടിലും നിഴലും നിലാവും ഒക്കെ പറയുമ്പോൾ ഇരുട്ടാണ്. പക്ഷെ ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നത് we talk about the two levels of existence. Yes, John. So it is the day and the night. So there was a huge difference which was created because of the lack of light at night, and that is something that actually created a lot of difficulties for human beings when they started settling in the city, as moving out from the forest and creating a village and then a city. They wanted to do something to light up their nightlife. And for that, the invention of the light bulb was actually a huge revolution. So that's what we are going to discuss the next section. And when we talk about the light bulb, the name that immediately comes to our mind is that of whose name comes to our mind immediately? Light bulb എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ആരുടെ പേരാണ് പെട്ടെന്ന് നമുക്ക് വരുന്നത്? Wonderful. Yes, Shaniba, it is Thomas Alva Edison. Edison's പേരാണ് നമുക്ക് ആദ്യം മനസ്സിൽ വരുന്നത്. Why? Because he is considered to be the person who invented the electric bulb. Actually, he was not the person who invented the electric bulb. There were a large number of people who were associated with the invention of the electric bulb. In fact, the invention of the electric bulb was a long process. ഒരുപാട് വർഷങ്ങൾ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ദശാബ്ദങ്ങൾ, decades, many decades were involved in the invention of the electric bulb. Let us just have a look at what happened, how this electric bulb got invented. Everything began in 1800, and it took almost a century and more for the bulb to attain its present form that we are using. So that is how this evolved. Okay, so I'll request somebody to read that. Who had left earlier? Yes, Adira KB, are you back? തിരിച്ചു വന്നോ Adira? 18, roll number 18, Adira KB. Adira. Shvedalakshmi.
Sir?
Yes.
Hello, sir?
Yes, you can read.
Perhaps one of most important inventions of modern times is the electric light bulb. We could get by with candles or lanterns in our homes, but imagine trying to shop at the mall, work in a large office complex, on travel at night by car, on plane without electric lighting. In 1802, Humphrey Davy invented the first electric light. It was improved in 1879 by Thomas Edison, who discovered that a certain type of carbon filament, when placed in bulb without oxygen, could glow for 14 hours.
Thank you, Shweta. So this is very important for us. The invention of the electric bulb is very important. How is it important? It is because of this invention that all the other kinds of lights came into being. Electric lights, all the other, when you mentioned the electric light, the first light that is an electric light is the filament lamp. That is what was perfected by Edison. First, actually not first invented by him. As you can see, the first invention of the electric bulb was done by Humphrey Davy. But the problem is with that first model. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള മോഡൽ നമ്മൾ ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നതിനെ പറയുന്ന ഒരു പേരുണ്ട്. It is called as diploma students, you should know that they are called prototypes. ആദ്യമായിട്ടൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്ന ഒരു സാധനത്തെ നമ്മൾ അതിൽ നിന്ന് ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് വരുന്നതാണ് പിന്നെയുള്ളതല്ല. Okay, and it is the first type or the first model or the first sample. പിന്നെ അതിനെ ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് വന്നതാണ് ബാക്കിയുള്ളവർ. So the first prototype of the electric bulb or the filament lamp was discovered or invented by Humphrey Davy. What the problem with that prototype is that it did not last very long. Light ഇട്ടാ കത്തും, പക്ഷെ കുറച്ച് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ അതങ്ങ് എരിഞ്ഞു പോകും. So because of the power of electricity, any material that you pass electricity through, if it is not strong enough, it can get destroyed. It will burn and destroy. So that was what happened to the first kind of bulbs that were manufactured. And there were many experiments that were done to find out which material can be used, and that is what Edison perfected. He found that a certain material, a certain element which used can actually withstand the heat of the light and can stay longer without getting burned out. Do you know what that element is? It begins with T. And that is the element that Edison found was suitable for manufacturing filament lamps. Which is that element?
Tungsten filament.
Exactly, Srilakshmi. Yes, it is tungsten. So it was tungsten which was found by Edison to be suitable for manufacturing the filament of a bulb. That is how we have the filament lamp. നിങ്ങൾ ചിലപ്പോൾ കണ്ടിട്ട് പോലും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല ഫിലമെന്റ് ലാംപ്സ് ഒക്കെ. നിങ്ങളൊക്കെ ജനിക്കുമ്പോഴേക്കും CFL ഒക്കെ വന്നു, പിന്നെന്താണ് ഇതൊക്കെ വന്നില്ലേ, LED ലാമ്പ് ഒക്കെ വന്നതുകൊണ്ട് ഫിലമെന്റ് ലാംപ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് ചിലപ്പോൾ many of you may not be aware. So these were the bulbs, these were the only lamps we had when we were students. ഞങ്ങളൊക്കെ പഠിക്കുന്ന കാലത്ത് ഈ ലൈറ്റ് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. പലപ്പോഴും ഇതൊന്നും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. ഞങ്ങൾ വിളക്ക്, മണ്ണെണ്ണ വിളക്ക് കത്തിച്ച് ആണ് പഠിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഇപ്പൊക്കെ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് വീട്ടില് ഇതാണ് ഫോണിലിരുന്ന് പഠിക്കാം, ലൈറ്റും കൂടെ വേണ്ട, ഫോണിൽ തന്നെ എല്ലാം പഠിക്കും. So that is how we have progressed so much. So these were the lamps which were used. Now we are phasing out these lamps. Now we are slowly moving to other kinds of lamps. So this was the lamp, and the first prototype of that, adinte picture aanu nammal idile ee text il kaanum. What we see in the text is the first prototype of the modern day filament lamp, the carbon filament lamp, which was invented by Thomas Edison. So that filament lamp could glow for 40 hours. Later, he found that if we use a tungsten filament lamp, it would actually last for several months or years. So that was how he developed this filament lamp, and that is why he is credited. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് എഡിസനെ ഇലക്ട്രിക് ബൾബിന്റെ ഇൻവെന്റർ ആയിട്ട് ക്രെഡിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. കാരണം വെറുതെ ഒരെണ്ണം കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുക മാത്രമല്ല, അതിനെ കുറെ കാലം യൂസ് ചെയ്യാവുന്ന രീതിയിൽ അതിനെ മോഡിഫൈ ചെയ്തതുകൊണ്ടാണ്. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് വൈ വി ഹാവ് credited the invention of the electric bulb to Thomas Alva Edison. Okay, the next paragraph. Jisna.
Yes, sir. Later on, Edison created a bulb that could last for over 1,200 hours, a tremendous advancement in our ability to do things even after the sun has set. Edison's discovery came after many unsuccessful attempts, and he himself is believed to have said, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work." After the incandescent lamps, light bulbs have appeared in different forms like neon lamps, fluorescent lamps, halogen lamps, CFLs, and LEDs, thus lighting up our earth at night.
Thank you. So this is the importance of the electric lamp, the filament lamp. It could last for 1,200 hours. When he changed that carbon filament to tungsten, he found that it could last for a very long time, and that actually revolutionized human life. So now the two halves of human life were actually brought together. The two halves which were so badly separated, that is the day and the night, were actually brought together. Most of the things that we do in the daytime, we can also do during night, even after the sun has set. That was a great advancement. Advancement means progress. And it was not easy for Edison. Why it was not easy? Because he had many unsuccessful attempts to find out which element to use to create this filament. So he experimented with 10,000 different things. It was really a fact that he experimented with 10,000 different things. 10,000, actually 10,000 തന്നെയാണ് നമ്പർ. അത്രയും ഡിഫറെന്റ് സാധനങ്ങൾ വെച്ച് അയാൾ പരീക്ഷിച്ചു നോക്കി. ഇത് വെച്ചാൽ നടക്കുമോ, അത് വെച്ചാൽ പറ്റുമോ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് he tried many things and he failed 10,000 times. And it was only after 10,000 unsuccessful attempts that he found this element called the tungsten, which was suitable for making the filament lamp. And look at the attitude of this man. He said, he does not say that I failed 10,000 times. He just said that I found 10,000 ways that won't work. So this is the attitude to failure that we should all develop. Like we discussed in the poem Equipment, failure is actually the stepping stone to success. If you consider it as a learning experience, this is what he has done, Edison has done. He has taken failure as a learning experience, that, okay, this is not the way it should work. So if you take every failure as a learning experience, you are bound to become successful sooner or later. ഇന്നല്ലെങ്കിൽ നാളെ നമ്മൾ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും വിജയത്തിലെത്തും. എങ്ങനെയാണെങ്കിൽ if we take failure as a learning experience. So that is the kind of spirit that every student, every one of us should develop. Then the next paragraph says about the incandescent lamps. Incandescent is something that emits light. That is called an incandescent lamp. So these filament lamps were also called incandescent lamps. Cando means light. Cando എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ലൈറ്റ്. അങ്ങനെയാണ് കാൻഡിൽ എന്ന വാക്ക് തന്നെ വരുന്നത്. അങ്ങനെയാണ്. കാൻഡിൽ എന്ന വാക്ക് എന്താണ്? കാൻഡിൽ കാൻഡിൽ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മെഴുകുതിരിയാണ്. So anything that can do എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, it is actually a Latin term which means light. So anything that emits light is called an incandescent lamp. And the first filament lamps that were discovered, where they were named as incandescent lamps. So that was the first, or rather the prototype of the modern day filament lamps. But these filament lamps have a drawback. അതിനൊരു വലിയൊരു ഡ്രോബാക്ക് ഉണ്ട്. എന്താണ് ഫിലമെന്റ് ലാംപ്സിന്റെ ഒരു ഡ്രോബാക്ക്? പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ ആർക്കെങ്കിലും?
ഹീറ്റ് എമിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന നന്നായിട്ട്.
എക്സാക്ട്ലി. ഒരു ബൾബ് കത്തിച്ച് വെച്ചിട്ട് നമ്മളൊരു 5 മിനിറ്റ്, ബൾബ് ഓണായി 5 മിനിറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞ് നമ്മളതൊന്ന് തൊട്ട് നോക്കിയാൽ തന്നെ കൈ പൊള്ളും. അധികം നേരം ഒന്നും കത്തണ്ട, 5 മിനിറ്റ് കത്തിയാൽ അപ്പൊ തന്നെ നമ്മളത് തൊട്ട് നോക്കിയാൽ കൈ പൊള്ളും. So there is a lot of loss of energy in the form of heat. So it is actually a loss of energy. They are not energy efficient. Filament lamps are not energy efficient. That is their drawback. So that is why we have, human beings have experimented. They have done a lot of research on how to improve the efficiency of the bulbs. So then we had the invention of fluorescent lamps. അങ്ങനെയാണ് ട്യൂബ് ലൈറ്റ് വന്നത്. ഫിലമെന്റ് ലാംപ്സിന് ശേഷം ട്യൂബ് ലൈറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ ഫ്ലൂറസെന്റ് ലാംപ്സ്. So fluorescent lamp എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് is also, it is also a kind of emission. They are actually more energy efficient than filament lamps. So in those days, in our own school days, these fluorescent lamps were a luxury. ട്യൂബ് ലൈറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു ലക്ഷറിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ചില വീടുകളിൽ മാത്രമാണ് ട്യൂബ് ലൈറ്റ് ഒക്കെ ഉള്ളത്. നമ്മുടെയൊക്കെ വീട്ടിൽ ഫിലമെന്റ് ലാമ്പാണ് ഉള്ളത്. വേറെ ചില വീട്ടിൽ ട്യൂബ് ലൈറ്റ് ഉള്ളതും പണക്കാരനാണ്. But they became very common. Nowadays you don't have fluorescent lamps. They have, even the fluorescent lamps have given way to LED tubes, LED batons. So fluorescent lamps came. Then you have CFLs. അതിനുശേഷം ഒന്നാണ് CFLs. What are CFLs? CFLs എന്താണ്? ചാറ്റ് ബോക്സിൽ എന്തുകൊണ്ടല്ലോ. യെസ്, ഹീറ്റ് എമിറ്റിംഗ്. യെസ്, അതാണ് ഫിലമെന്റ് ലാംപ്സിന്റെ ഡ്രോബാക്ക്. ഓക്കെ, വാട്ട് ഈസ് എ CFL? എന്താണ് CFL? ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് എ ഷോർട്ട് ഫോം, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ആൻ അബ്രീവിയേഷൻ. എക്സാക്ട്ലി ഷാനിബ, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് കോമ്പാക്ട് ഫ്ലൂറസെന്റ് ലാമ്പിനെയാണ് CFL എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ CFLസിന്റെ പ്രത്യേകത എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ, ദേ ആർ, യെസ് ജോഫി, സോ they are more energy efficient than filament lamps as well as tube lights, fluorescent lamps. They are more energy efficient. They take less electricity, and they last longer. They last for a longer time. That is why they are considered to be better than these filament lamps. So that is CFLs. But they also have a certain drawback. The problem is with CFLs is that they are manufactured with something which is not actually good for the earth. What is that? It contains something that is not good for the environment. What is that? What does that CFL, what does it contain which is not good for the environment? Anybody? CFL ഉള്ളത് എന്താണ്? Which is not good for them. Very good, Shaniba. It is right. It is mercury. രസം എന്ന് പറയും. നമുക്ക് ആകെ അറിയുന്ന രസം സാമ്പാറിന് രസമായിരിക്കും അല്ലേ? ആ രസമാണ്. It's actually an element which it is actually the both a metal as well as a liquid. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേകതയുണ്ട് മെർക്കുറിയുടെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് ഓൾ ഇൻ ലിക്വിഡ് ഫോം. Okay, so many people might be knowing. It is also known as quicksilver. It's written as Hg, and the symbol Hg എന്നാണ്. So it is used in thermometers to measure temperature, because the flow of mercury is according to the temperature difference. It can easily show the difference in temperature, so that's why it's used in thermometers. So mercury is useful, but it can be dangerous if we consume it. It can even lead to death. So it is fatal. Consumption of mercury can be fatal. It can cause death. So that is the drawback of CFLs. And then we have LEDs. LEDs. So LEDs are LEDs. LEDs in the very good, Shanimba, Sri Lakshmi. Yes, it is a light emitting diode. So LED lamps are the latest innovation. They are highly energy efficient, uncomparable to filament lamps. So very energy efficient. They have almost last lifelong. Yes, so they have a very long life. It lasts, a good LED lamp can last almost 10 years or more. If it is a good LED lamp, it can last for 10 years or more. And they are very energy efficient. And it was very costly when it was first launched, but now it is more affordable. You can buy an LED lamp for 50 rupees or 60 rupees, good brand. Nowadays it is available at that price. But still, the invention of the filament lamp was considered to be very revolutionary. Even today, this filament lamp is still used in some places. It is sometimes considered superior to the LED lamp because the light of a filament lamp is very good for reading. പലപ്പോഴും ഈ ഫിലമെന്റ് ലാമ്പ് ആണ് റീഡിങ്ങിനൊക്കെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. I have seen this filament lamp used by eye specialists. കണ്ണിന്റെ ഡോക്ടർ അടുത്ത് പോയപ്പോൾ അയാളുടെ സ്റ്റഡി ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഫിലമെന്റ് ലാമ്പാണ്. It has a warm light which is good for the eyes actually. And LED lamps have very sharp light which are actually not good for the eyes. LED-യിലേക്ക് നോക്കുന്നത് ലൈറ്റ് ഒക്കെ വളരെ നല്ലതാണെങ്കിലും if you look at an LED light, it is not very good for the eyes. So there are pros and cons for everything. So while the filament lamp emits a lot of heat, the light of the lamp is actually very good. And the best for studying, they say, is the fluorescent lamp. പഠിക്കാനായിട്ട് ഏറ്റവും നല്ലത് fluorescent lamp ആണെന്നാണ്. So there are different uses for different things. And here we have the neon lamp mentioned here. Neon lamps are the lamps that we see in shops. See, if you go to the cities, they are very common. City you can see these neon lamps. They are very common. ഈ കടകളുടെയൊക്കെ പേര് എഴുതി വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ളതൊക്കെ മിക്കവാറും it will be in this neon lamps. It's very beautiful to look at. Mostly it will be in rose, maroon, and that kinds of colors. And these neon lights are actually what distinguishes the city from the village. പലപ്പോഴും ഒരു നഗരത്തിൽ എത്തി എന്നുള്ള ഒരു തോന്നൽ നമുക്ക് വരുന്നത് ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള നിയോൺ ലാംപ്സ് കാണുമ്പോഴാണ്. കല്യാൺ സിൽസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ജയലക്ഷ്മി എന്നൊക്കെ എഴുതി വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ആ ഒരു ലൈറ്റ്, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി ലൈറ്റ് ആണത്. So that is, they are called neon lamps. So there are those kinds of lamps. Then we have halogen lamps which are used in automobiles. Okay, automobiles use ചെയ്യുന്ന ലാമ്പാണ് halogen lamps, and they are very common because without these lamps you will not be able to drive automobiles, because most of the headlights of the automobiles are made of halogen lamps. and some spotlights that we use to light up certain places. Adine nammal halogen, adunum use cheyyunnathu halogen aanu. With a single light, you can light up an entire area. So that is what is meant. That is so. There are different kinds of lamps. So where did it all begin? It all began with the invention of the bulb. So it is with the bulb that everything began, and therefore the invention of this electric bulb is very significant. So the invention of how is it important that light, electric light in the importance? Lighting, the night lighting was always there even before the invention of the electric bulb. We had kerosene lamps, palasaram lamps and lamps. We had kerosene lamps. We had candles. Okay, then we had what is it called? We had മണ്ണെണ്ണ വിളക്ക് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു സാധനം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇങ്ങനെ മറച്ചു വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വിളക്ക്. അതിനെയാണ് ഹറിക്കെയിൻ ലാംപ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അതിന് നിങ്ങൾ മലയാളത്തിൽ എന്ത് പറയുന്നത് എനിക്ക് അറിഞ്ഞുകൂടാ. ഹാവ് യു സീൻ ദീസ് ഹറിക്കെയിൻ ലാംപ്സ്? ഹറിക്കെയിൻ ലാമ്പ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു സാധനം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. മലയാളത്തിൽ അതിനെ റാന്തൽ എന്നാണ് പറയാൻ കേട്ടിട്ടുള്ളത്. റാന്തൽ വിളക്ക്. കാറ്റടിച്ചാലൊന്നും അണിയില്ല, കാരണം ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് ഗ്യാസ് ജിസ്ന. സോ it is covered with a glass, so that even if the wind blows, it will not affect the light. But the problem is that you cannot light up a whole shopping complex with such lamps, or you cannot light up the path of a vehicle with such lamps. ഓടുന്ന വണ്ടിക്ക് ഒരു മണ്ണെണ്ണ വിളക്ക് കത്തിച്ച് വെച്ചിട്ട് വണ്ടി ഓടിക്കാനൊന്നും പറ്റില്ല. മുമ്പിലുള്ളത് കാണണമെങ്കിൽ you need such powerful lights like the electric lights. So that's why the author says we could get by, we could somehow get along with candles or lanterns in our homes. But if you want to shop at a mall, if you want to work in a huge office complex, or if you want to travel in an automobile, it is very important to have electric lights. So that is how it revolutionized all kinds of lives. നമ്മുടെ ട്രാവലിങ്ങിനെ ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ് ചെയ്തു. നമ്മുടെ night, working at night. You could do very less work by working in a candle light, but you can do a lot of work by working in an electric light. So that is how this invention of the light bulb, Edison actually did a great service to human society, humanity itself, by the invention of the light bulb. Though we are not using it now, we are slowly phasing it out to other lamps like LEDs, but it was a great beginning. We should recognize that effort of this one man, Thomas Alva Edison, who worked so much in spite of a lot of failures that he encountered in his life. So this is the first modern innovation that actually changed the human life for the better. And in the next section, we will be discussing the discovery of semiconductors. So after an invention, here we have a discovery, because semiconductors are a discovery. It's not an invention. It is a discovery because the semiconductivity effect is a property that some elements have. And what is it? How was it useful for human innovations later? All those things we will discuss in the next class. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful afternoon. Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.